the breathing techniques and meditation and stretches for the body, these are the tools that allows us to relate to our mind, because the mind has a tendency to become rigid, and a rigid mind will inhibit creativity and innovation. So the objective is to make the rigid mind into a flexible mind. And when the mind becomes very flexible, and as much more it is flexible, more so is the invention and the creativity and the innovations that come forth. So when the mind is more and more flexible, then we start, our vision moves from opaque walls. The opaque wall starts looking transparent. Intangible walls, I mean. So therefore we get a larger dimension, a larger spectrum for our vision. So the objective is to have a large perspective. For example, one perspective is the perspective of duality, extreme duality. Somebody is studying electronic engineering, and that person is different from somebody who has studied mechanical engineering. And that person is different from somebody who studied chemical engineering. Now one mind is so rigid, thinking that mechanical engineer cannot come to IT industry, or chemical engineer cannot come to IT industry. But as we know today, people of all engineering streams converge in IT. So the other perspective of the mind is to know that a further ahead, after chemical engineering, this person can also become a photographer, can also become a hairstylist, can also become an entrepreneur. So this is the flexibility of the mind. So the duality is reduced and non-duality is approached. And with that perspective, the barriers between two people start reducing. The boundaries of nationalities reduces, the barriers of religion reduces, and perhaps we are so accustomed to see only genders, but beyond a point, the gender becomes reduced, the distance between genders become reduced, and then the focus goes to the driver behind the body, and that's the mind. So the person who does pranayama, meditation and asanas, he can easily relate to something beyond the body, and his perspective and vision can go to the mind of this interaction, the mind involved in the interaction. And further, which one can go beyond the mind, beyond the intellect, and study why this person is behaving the way he is doing, why the interactions are the way it is. It is not just the body, it is not just the mind, but yet it is regulated by other factors. So the ability to have a larger vision through a flexible mind is a potential of having learned pranayama, meditation and stretches for the body. Of course, the activity that we are indulging in is very contextual, and that is why it is essential to have a guru, because sometimes though we are indulgent in an activity, it may not be the appropriate activity that's required in the context of individual, in the context of the family, in the context of the neighborhood, in the context of the country, or in the context of the industry. So therefore a guru is a person who has got a bird's eye view of everything. So he knows that if I indulge in this work, or if I'm involved in this skill procuring, whether it is appropriate for that time or not, or in that context or not. So guru is there to show the direction, to guide us through the activity that we do, and to take us to the destination. Well, personally, I would wish to substitute the word hope with the word aspiration, because aspiration brings it to context. Aspiration narrows down and gives us a better perspective, because an aspiration is activity-driven state of mind. That's a very interesting question. See, one has to understand that we need a context. and we need to subscribe to a system, and the system obviously will have some regimentation, some procedures, some processes. So one can experience the support and the protection from the system. Our country had many institutions like enforcement institutions, justice system, law and order system, licensing system. So if there was fairness and justice in all of that and the institutions were intact, then the youth would not have strayed as much as they are doing today. So wherever they are approaching, if they are experiencing that the institution is letting down their expectations, then they start straying. Therefore, today we have to create that noble system, which is done by somebody who has got very big vision, a foresight and an insight. And that is why we got to follow the system of a guru. We have to subscribe to fit in, because the other institution external to the guru is not delivering as much as they should and they could. Therefore, the youth are feeling a little let down by the institutions around them. So luckily we have the Art of Living institution that the youth can subscribe to fit into, and they can get recharge for their aspirations, and they can be guided by the guru and the system to achieve their potential.